Greetings. I'm Sitka Timuchin, and I lead data and strategy at Tydo. At Tydo, we power the analytics for hundreds of e-commerce merchants with our configurable data infrastructure, our visualization, and our segmentation solutions. Currently, we're building an actionable customer intelligence platform, and on a daily basis, we rely on Airbyte to ingest data from different platforms on behalf of our customers. First of all, thank you for the invitation. And as I was preparing for this talk, I kept thinking about themes that I've seen as a data practitioner. And I realized that half of the time as a data practitioner, myself, the teams that I built, the teams that I led, were either working to bring things together, to integrate and coordinate, or half of the time, maybe we were trying to decouple things so that we could be more agile and have better local optimization. So I was reminded of this very famous quote about advertising. And I said, oh, that's going to be the theme, either integrating and coordinating things, struggling on that front, or trying to decouple. So what I want to do is I want to go through 4 chapters, if you will. And the first chapter is about enterprise systems. So this is as good a starting point as any. Imagine an enterprise, I think you can think about an oil refinery where everything is connected and the system with the different modules connects things and there's end-to-end control. So these are typically built for the enterprise. They're integrated and they're end-to-end controllable, and they're pretty stable because they were built over the years. And all the intelligence, if you will, if we follow the theme of business intelligence, is within the 4 walls of the system. But if you were a company that built this, you would expect to get a lot of mileage out of it, but change happens. These systems are also very rigid, they're expensive to tune, and very slow to configure. So as time passed, what we've seen happen is a bit decoupling, if you will. Companies still had their systems, but when they outsourced their operations, part of their operation, and gave it to another company, when they merged, when they expanded into a new country, as they brought their customers and their products, when they were merging, for example, they also brought their systems. And soon, systems were too rigid, too slow to respond to business needs. Around the same time, thanks to networking and thanks to databases being available, decision support systems started popping up. These are local, but they are built to answer the need to have a full picture of all the factors that a particular department would need to make a decision. And they came with positive sides and also with some drawbacks. One positive anecdote that I have is when I was working to build a demand and supply planning solution for a large company that was in the cosmetics business. The earthquake happened in Japan, and they had disruption of some key chemicals. And these chemicals would go into different types of products, and they were distributed. Those products ended up on the shelf as lipstick, as cream, as perfume around the world under different brands. And it was very difficult for them to answer the simple question of when are we going to run out? Because there was inventory in the form of raw material in barrels. There was inventory in cream form, not yet packaged. There was inventory in the warehouses as product. And there was also inventory on the store shelves and at the warehouses of their distributors. Luckily, the department that I was with had access to all that information from disparate systems because they were the worldwide demand supply planning department. So we were able to put together a picture and allow the company to route the scarce supply to the right factory and the scarce product to the right region so that customers didn't see the disruption. Of course, this also resulted in some chaotic environments because every department had maybe a different definition of what a forecast is, what a plan is, if you will. And, with the outside forces, with the outside needs from the business, they thought that they could keep planning in a more agile way. The decisions that they were making on a monthly basis now being made at a weekly basis, and then on a daily basis. And then there was still the promise of real time, if you will. around the same time, advances started happening outside of the four walls of the company. Following the intelligence, there was this tipping point where companies thought that the intelligence, the information that is available to them outside of their four walls became more valuable. EDIs always existed, but now there were portals. If you're a maker of something, if you were selling through Amazon, through Walmart, through Costco, if you will, now you could log into a portal, and within that portal, you could see inventory levels for each SKU at every Walmart store, if you will. You could see the price that product of yours carried, the number of sales that were made at different stores. So there was this promise of visibility and coordination, but as demand side had the promise within the four walls of the company, and on the supply side, in the supply chain side, the reaction wasn't there. It was pretty slow to put a picture to react to the needs of customers. So in some ways, we can say that the promise of reacting to the customer demands was not met very easily, because it was very difficult to get a full picture together. A few anecdotes from this side. If you were selling clothing, if you're an apparel company, you may have had hundreds of suppliers, and those suppliers don't provide you with great visibility. Off the top of my head, Shein is probably the only company that mandates their suppliers, those small sewing companies like cloth makers, be on their platform, so they have end-to-end visibility, so that they can respond in a much more agile way. That brings us to chapter 4, if you will. So now imagine that you're a merchant, you have things to sell, and just as databases became available to smaller companies, or they became available to deploy, the infrastructure that one needs to run a business became available to smaller and smaller merchants. So this is where we find ourselves at TIDO now. But when you think about the information, the intelligence is spread across different platforms. If you're an e-commerce merchant, you may use Shopify as your platform. You probably have Google Analytics. On the acquisition side, you have Meta Ads, you have Google Ads. On the retention side, you may have Klaviyo. You may have another solution for all the subscriptions. And your customers, when they have feedback about your products, if they want to submit a review, those may be provided within Yotpo. So all of a sudden, if you have to enter something in one system, switch to another system, that moving your chair, then enter the same thing in a third system, it is very hard to put together a full picture. And the problem is about controlling and coordinating. So I think it is fair to say that only spreadsheets are left within the four walls, even though the customers have best-in-class, our clients, merchants have access to best-in-class solutions. So I'll now move on to chapter 5. Even though I said that we would have 4 chapters, this is about opinionated, stable data flows. And I will use customer intelligence. I'll take business intelligence and focus on customer intelligence as a case study. If you want to put together the full picture of your customer base as a merchant, you need to know on the acquisition side, when they came to you, what kind of campaign they reacted to. You need to know their purchase pattern. What is the first product that they bought? How much time do they spend between purchases? You need to know if they respond to discounts, if they use coupons. You need to also know if they have any responses to your Klaviyo campaigns. You may want to connect that information to any demographic data that may be predictable of their future behavior. And you may also say, hey, what are the reviews? If this customer is giving us feedback, what are the things that we can learn from that, so that we can respond to customer needs? So all of that together is a pretty difficult thing to do for a typical merchant, and that's the problem that we work to solve at TIDO right now. And Airbyte, again, provides us with the stable data schemas and the monitoring that we need, so that we don't need to worry about monitoring Shopify's of the world, Klaviyo's of the world. We can focus on configuring the right retention windows, the right acquisition windows, so that the full picture is coming together. So I'll end my talk there. Again, thank you, Airbyte, for the invitation. And if you want to reach out to start a conversation, please do so. Thank you.